Questions?
Even though he came up with Jim's ultimate take on his creation.
So what I can tell you is that Jim, having been versed in theater, both in Florida and when he came to UCLA, theater and film, we all had to take acting classes, scenery classes, all those things that are necessary when you're in the theater arts department. Jim went on stage as an actor. He wasn't a guy in a San Francisco band, the charlatans say. He was an actor who was trying to portray a character that he brought to the stage. And if one of those characters was the Lizard King, then he was going to give you a presentation of the Lizard King with lyrics, with poetry, with music. But somehow the media thought that he was saying, I'm the Lizard King, and that when he stepped off the stage, he was still the Lizard King. Well, you know, most actors can leave behind the character they portray or invent. Jim wasn't allowed to do that. The media didn't realize that part.
Do we have access to those today? I mean, can they be shown in the theater? Can we get the DVD or?
Well, that's really a good question.
You see bits and pieces of them online.
Yeah.
But
So why haven't these films been released? I mean, I don't own the copyright. So my efforts have been to shake the copyright owners and say, this is part of the legacy he left us. Let's get to look at these things. And so far, we've had little or no response from the doors. And although Jim's family would like to see Highway released because they believe in the film, they've had opposition. So I can tell you this, that it is my hope and my belief that in 2 years we'll see a full HD version of Highway that will be available for all of us to see. Hopefully it'll be shown in theaters, but we'll be able to buy the Blu-ray or the DVD of it. And as far as Feast of Friends, I'm hoping the same thing will happen. Because I think they're both films that, they were both films about Jim because he was the creative force behind both of those films. You know, Jim saved Feast of Friends. The Doors wanted to pull the plug on Feast of Friends, and Jim came along and said, whoa, no, we're not going to pull the plug. We're going to give him the money to finish the film. That is, give Paul and I the money to finish the film. So without Jim, there wouldn't be the film. Questions? Yes?
I just had, first of all, I just wanted to say I think this is the best book that I've read about Morrison. I didn't mean that end to it, but I just wanted to know, was that a contentious experience, that interview with him, or what was it really different than the other ones in the book?
Michael is 10 years older than Jim, I think, 8 to 10 years older. So I think there was a mentor kind of relationship between the two of them. Michael suggested to Jim that he self-publish his own works. Don't wait for a publisher to come along. And no, it wasn't contentious, but you know, he allowed me to confront him about a lot of issues, like the issue of Jim's death. He was willing to believe what he had heard from somebody or from the media, and I said, let's look at some other possibilities here. He believed in Jim as a poet. He thought Jim was one of the best poets of his generation, which was great praise from Michael McClure. I mean, Michael McClure was part of that original group of beat poets, and he was friends with all of those people. If anybody knew about poetry, it had to be Michael. And you know, Jim drew from that source of 50s poetry to understand about writing. Of course, he drew from a lot of other sources, but so he respected Michael. And that chapter is, in some ways, the most illuminating about the art of making poetry. Michael, in that interview, was able to say to all of us what it means to be a young poet, the trials and tribulations, what you have to do, what you have to study, who you have to be. So that was wonderful. It's one of my favorite chapters in the book. But you brought out another point, and that is that each of the people in the book, each of the participants, the friends, reveal themselves through the interviews. Something I hadn't noticed when I first did the interviews, and it took me a while after I reread them to realize that we're getting also a picture of who Jim's friends were based on what they were telling us. Because they were being candid, because they were being honest, their personalities were revealed. And how wonderful is that? So that we saw Jim with a circle of his friends, them revealing themselves, them revealing the times, and them revealing Jim.